Hey everybody, Albert Leonardo here. In this video, we want to discuss about split testing interests. You have already had your list of interests to test, right? Now, out of these interests, our goal is to find which one is the winning interest. Winning here means that you can find converting audience there, or you can find buyers there. So, a bit overview, the difference between precise and broad interest is that the precise interest has less associated audience, right? You see the yellow one here is associated audience, but the broad interest has a lot of associated audience. I'm not saying that the broad interest is not a good one to target, but it's just that when you first starting your campaign, you want to target precise interest. Why? Because you want to maximize your chance of finding buyers, right? Even though this is precise interest, but not all of the audience are buyers, right? Finding buyers from this audience is not easy, let alone finding buyers from this audience. So that's why when you first started, you want to start from the precise interest. But after your pixel is cooked and your Facebook campaign is very optimized, you can then start to target broad interest because you can use the power of pixel to easily find the buyers. Now this is how I draw it. When you start, you want to start from super precise interest, especially because your pixel is still raw, right? It's not cooked yet. But once your pixels start getting cooked, you can gradually move to associated interest and then move to broad interest. Now, so you want to start with super precise interest. That's our priority, right? You need to figure out which interest perform better, because some interests have more buyers than the others. Like this one, when you start, you don't know which interest has buyers and which don't. You can only tell by testing. But once you know your niche, the longer you know your niche, the better you know which interest actually perform and which one does not. Right? You have to test to find out. Some methods you can use to split tests, right? The first one, I call it tight budget. Second one is per category. The third one is minimum overlap. Let's start with the first one. Right? Let's say you want to test with a minimum budget. So you can collect all super precise interests out of this category. In comparison with the second method is each category you create each ad set for them. But if you have minimum budget, you can just gather all of their super precise interest and put it into one ad set. So you only pay budget to this one ad set, right? So for this example, we can just select all this super precise interest and then put it into one ad set. Let's do it on Facebook. So I create a new campaign. Let's say now on the test, click the website. Now in this targeting, I just type in all the super precise interests. abctips.com, tips starter. Right? So we have typed in all the super precise interests. Let's look how many potential reach here. 730,000. It's good enough. And then you can also narrow down with the largest audience interest. Okay, so instead of doing just OR, right, what we have done is OR logic. Instead of just doing this, we narrow down to get an even better audience. So the way to do it is, out of this, you select the largest audience, which is this 441, this 417, right? Which is really school outfitters, right? You take it out and you narrow school outfitters. Okay, and the audience, the intersection of this and this result in 120,000 people in potential reach. But since this is a click-to website, I would prefer 500,000 people. But if this is a PPE, I would do it this way, right? Since this click-to website, I would just leave it like this, because I want the audience of like 500 to 1 million. Of course, if you have more interest here, because this is just an example, right? By the time you have finished the collection of all your niche interests, you have a lot of interest to narrow down, right? The other way of doing it is you can actually select the associated interest here and try to narrow down using them. Let's do it. For example, let's choose scholastic teacher, for example. All right, of course, you find one with lots of audience, and then the key is just to make sure that the audience is enough for you to target. Right, I just leave it like this because I want to emphasize that I suggest that you always narrow down with one or two interests. It can be associated interest, or even it can be broad interest. But narrow down is very important for you to get a targeted audience. Or you can even narrow down with broad audience. Okay, and then we set the daily budget to $10 to start with, and choose the creative. Just use existing posts and teacher's corner, then link posts. Right now I want to track the conversion using the Facebook pixel, then review order, save to draft. Okay, so now we have already created an ad set targeting all the super precise interests with $10 daily budget. Now let's go to the second method, which is per category. So if we have more budget to split test, for example, you can split test 3 to 4 ad sets, then you can do it per category. So basically just do what we have done in the first method, but you do it in each category here. All right, let's try to create one. Let's choose push your post, PPE for this time. And this is the first ad set. Right, so I'm gonna do this for the first category, teaching resources, teaching ideas, have fun teaching. All right, and then I will narrow down and select the largest audience, all right, this one, teaching ideas, and then move to here. So this is how I do the first ad set, and put it $10 to test with, and so this is community. All right, continue. Select our page, select photo post, and track all conversion for my Facebook pixel. Targeting, the placement. Okay, and then review order, place order. Continue. So this is the ad that we have just created for community. Next, I want to do the same to the second category. And just duplicate this, keep the same campaign. abctips.com teach. Alright, and then pick the one with largest audience, scroll up feeders. This is website or forum. Alright, and then just keep repeating the same to every ad set, to every category. So this is how we do it using the second method. Now the third method, minimum overlap. This method is to help you to minimize your audience overlap. So the way we do it is you do the first ad set for the first category, and then the second ad set you select all the interests but you exclude all the interests in the previous category. So by doing this, we make sure that the second ad set audience we have excluded the audience from the ad set 1. You do the same with the third category, which you choose every interest from the third category, but you exclude all the audience, all the interests from the first and second category. And that's how you do it for the next one. So for example, okay, this is for the first ad set. Let's take out our interest. So you just type in teaching resources, teaching ideas, have fun teaching. Alright, so this is the first ad set. So this is the first ad set. And then the second one, alright, we name it first, this is community. For the second one, we duplicate and we delete all this first. So we type in second interest, and then we exclude people, excluding the first ad set interest. This will make sure that you will not target 2 times the same audience. So this is website or forum minus community. And then you do the same with the third ad set, right? You put in these interests and you exclude all this. Alright, after that, you keep it running for minimum 2 to 3 days, and then you then check Facebook reports and keep the winner ad set, you take the middle ad set, and you cut the loser ad set. We will discuss it in optimizing video. So which one you want to choose? This is pretty much self-explanatory, right? If you have tight budget or low budget, you just do one ad set, but make sure you choose the best one, which are super precise interests. And these two, you can actually mix them. I mean, I put it in 2 different methods is because for the sake of explaining, but you can actually mix. For example, for this one, we can narrow down with broad interest. I narrow down with the block interest, for example, teacher. And I do the same to every asset. Alright, so this is how we do the testing for the interest. See you in the next video.